I hit this 440-pound bench PR recently while only doing one single over 85% all training cycle, and it was 385 pounds, only 87.5% of my max, quite light in terms of most modern powerlifting programs, which tend to go much heavier quite often. I think singles can be useful, but in this video, I'm going to argue that they're overrated. The benefits can be gotten in much more optimal ways. Now, the main reason people argue for heavier singles is acclimation to heavier weights. Think about what makes us stronger. There's hypertrophy, bigger muscles. There's neurological adaptations, things like muscular engagement and development of motor patterns. These are more open-ended things. We can keep building them larger and larger over time. Now, compare that to the skill of executing one rep and getting used to heavier weights. We basically have that skill, and that's it. We don't get more out of it, we don't get better at it, it just tops off. Thus, by just doing singles right before we test the max, a few weeks before the end of our cycle, we're getting all of the benefits, but none of the downsides. Namely, that singles don't produce a lot of stimulus for our baseline strength and hypertrophy adaptations. They do create quite a bit of fatigue though. We're better off saving that fatigue for the other aspects of building strength. Now, another common thing I see people say is doing heavier singles or top sets is to test if they are getting stronger. Powerlifters like lifting heavier weights, and they also tend to get worried about their max. Hence, it's almost like a form of ego lifting to do top singles all the time. It's not truly optimal. There's going to be fluctuations in strength over the short term. You shouldn't read too much into them because strength takes time to build. Focus on the medium to long term. This relates to research on neuroticism. Being constantly worried is associated with worse athletic performance. So we shouldn't worry too much about the short to medium term. We're better off looking at long-term progress, such as over a whole training cycle. You don't have to see your top-end strength until then. And hence, with just a few singles to test our strength near the end of a training cycle, we avoid the fatigue for most of it, but still are able to project our max more accurately. Another common reason for singles is the supposed mental benefits of seeing ourselves getting stronger, but we can see progress in other ways. That is, seeing momentum build. Slowly add weight or reps or whatever form of progressive overload on our rep work, it mentally adds up seeing it constantly build. Again, strength can fluctuate in the short term. If we're doing more maximal singles, you may actually fail if you have a bad week. With more submaximal volume work, you can still add even on bad weeks, which helps mentally. This also creates a process-focused method versus an outcome-focused method, which is linked to better outcomes. Plus, you can still see yourself getting stronger. While the correlation isn't as direct the further from failure we are, it's safe to say that if we get significantly stronger on our rep work, we got stronger at maximal weights. And again, we can do a few singles at the end of our cycle to test this more accurately. Now, I mentioned all these downsides, and while I do stand by them, I don't want this video to get too absolutist the other way, so I want to mention why I'm still going to do singles more or less year-round on squats and deadlifts, and why I still think they can be useful. It does seem that higher percentages of our max can drive better strength adaptations. Now, the upper end of this I think is a bit fuzzy, but I do find I need to err quite light on squats and deadlifts. As my max is near 800 pounds, they get quite fatiguing. So I can do a single that is really not that heavy still, in the high 70s to low 80s percentage-wise. That gets me some of the more physiological benefits of some higher percentages, but I'm still not getting as much of the downside fatigue-wise. But to summarize the video, most of the benefits from singles can be derived in more optimal ways while avoiding the downsides. The small benefits of the skill and physiological benefits of lifting one heavy rep doesn't take much stimulus and can be gotten quickly with a few singles at the end of a training cycle. I hope this video was helpful. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And once again, thanks for watching.